Hi everyone, Dr. Mario here to try and help you understand some of the recent changes that Google Suite made. Uh, Tonight specifically, I want to talk to you about revisiting the Google Calendar setup to set up a Google Meet. Back in March, I talked to you about using the calendar to set up a meet and then copying the link and pasting it here in your stream. We found that that's been giving a little bit of a problem and an opportunity for meat bombs to occur. And meat bombs aren't those nice little juicy things that you throw on the barbecue and have for dinner. It's when someone drops in to your class, your virtual class, and causes havoc. And then you have a really difficult time trying to bring the class back under control once you've gotten rid of that individual. So we're going to change things up a little bit with how we're suggesting that you set up your Google Meet. So here we are in my test class, American Government, and I have nothing in here right now. So I'm going to go into my Hartford Public Schools calendar, and remember, we can find this over here in our waffle. So if you wanted to go into your waffle, open up your calendar, you'll see it pop up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a class for 11 a.m. tomorrow, and I'm just going to click here and a class will pop up. And now this is for my American Government, so I'm going to say American, I'm going to spell it right first, American Government Synchronous, O-U-S, Synchronous Class. And it's going to start at 11 a.m. It's going to end at noon. I want to make sure I add Google Meet video conferencing, so I'm going to click on this. Then down here, I want to make sure that I have the right calendar. So I'm going to click on my name. And I'm going to scroll down here and look for my test class right there. Click on that, and you'll see that the colors changed here and here. So if I go back and I did this as myself, you'll see that the color is a light blue. And if I go back to the test class for American Government, it's a darker blue. So I have my title in here, I have Google Meet set up, I have the right calendar set, and this is important. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second when we get back into the classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this. And I'm immediately going to go back into it, and I'm going to click on Edit. So here, I want to make sure American Government Synchronous Class, time is correct. Now here, does not repeat. Let's say I want this to be every Wednesday and Friday. Right now, I could do weekly on Wednesday, monthly on the first Wednesday, annually on November 4th, or every weekday, Monday to Friday. But I want to do a custom setup for this. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to say every Wednesday and Friday. So it repeats every 1 week, Wednesday and Friday. I can click on as many of these days as I want. I could click on all of them or none of them. In this case, I'm going to do Wednesday and Friday. And it's going to repeat. Right now, its default is set to never. And we want it to end sometime in June. I know very few of us want to go all the way through the school year to the next one. So we're going to go over here to June, and we're going to end it on June 11th. So I'm done with that. Make sure you click on Done and not Cancel. And you'll see that it says weekly, Wednesday, Friday, until June 11th. It'll tell you. We're joining with the Google Meet. We have a link here already. We can add a location if we wanted to, or add a notification, but right now we're okay with that. So over here under guest permissions, and this is one of our changes, we're recommending that you unclick all of these to make sure that the guests, your students, cannot invite others or see who's on the guest list. And that gives us a nice option. You'll also notice that we have this new button here for rooms. So we can set up rooms here, and I'll actually get this a little bit further along for you in another tutorial. Right now we're just more concerned about guests. So we want to make sure we unclick this, and then we're going to say save. So you'll see that we have American Government Wednesday and Friday, and let's look forward to next week. There they are. And if we keep going forward, here we are in December. They're still set up. And oh no, we have one set up for the Friday after Thanksgiving where we're closed. So let's go ahead and delete that one. So we're going to click on it. We're going to go to the trash can and we're going to delete that one. Now make sure that you have this clicked, this event. Otherwise, it will erase everything from this point forward. So don't click here, don't click all events. That'll erase them in both directions for you. So just this event, click OK, and you'll see that one drop out. And if you go the next week, you'll notice that they're still in there. Now you can see how I have another class set up here. So this class, they're just doubled up. That's why it looks like that, because this is just a test class. So let's go back over here into early November where we are. It's election day. I hope all of you all voted. I did. I voted early. So make sure everything's set up for you there. Now, let's say it is 10:45. You want to get started. So I usually like to start about 10 minutes early. I like to open up the class because that gives me a chance to do a few things before any students arrive. So in the past, I had it set up where I recommended that you would go into your class and just go ahead and click on the link that you had here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go into our calendar and we're going to click on where it says join with Google Meet. So when we do that, it'll take us right into the Meet. Before I do that, I want to talk to you a little bit about how your students are going to get in. So when you set this up in your calendar, when you set this up, any student who you have added into your class, so remember we can add students here by putting in their student number, and then they'll get, the class will pop up in their Google Classroom, and then they can just join. So any student who gets added to this, when they go to their waffle and go into their calendar, they will see if they have joined the class, they'll see their American Government class, and then they can just click on this and join with Google Meet. So that's what we're doing, and that's my integrated camera, and I'll show you how to make these adjustments in a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to turn off this camera, turn off my microphone. That way when I join, I'm joining without any things turned on. So I'm going to join now, and then I immediately go down to this left hand corner where this blue shield is, and I click on the blue shield. This is a new feature that we want you to address right away. Before you let any students in, turn off quick access. Now for elementary school and middle school, you might want to turn off sharing their screen and sending chat messages, but I teach high school, so I keep both of these on. Allowing the students to share their screen with me help them through with whatever they're working on. Once I'm set here, I just click anywhere on the screen and it'll let me out of that screen. So when students start to arrive, you'll see them, you'll hear a little chime, and then you'll see a block pop up, and it'll say so-and-so wants to come in, and you have to click omit for each student. So they'll come in pretty fast, so just make sure that you know who those students are and that they should be in that class. Now, you can deny entry to anybody that you don't want to have come in. So there's a couple of other features that have popped up that are really, really excellent. One is changing the layout. So before we were limited to 16 in our tiled view. So now we have a tiled view that allows us to change to 30, 42, or 49. So we go all the way up to 49 tiles in the tiled view. I like to keep mine right about 30. That way I get all of my students in the class at one time. If you only have 16, that'll make the tiles a little bit bigger and easier for you to see. I like to, your students will also have this opportunity to change their layout. They'll have these 3 little dots here in the right-hand corner, and that will let them change their layout. And what I usually tell my students when I'm doing a demonstration is to click on Spotlight. That way I fill their screen with whatever I'm sharing on my screen, and it makes it a little bit easier for them to see everything. Another way they can do it is to do Sidebar, which puts the avatars down along one side and the rest of the computer screen is filled with what you're demonstrating. So I'm going to leave that on tiled for right now. And I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to talk about changing your background. Now I have a green screen behind me, so I have a chance to do a couple of different things. This is slightly blurring my background. This is really blurring my background. So I'm going to turn my camera on and I'm going to come over here. You can see my green screen background right now. And I'm going to change my background. So I can go to a slight blur, which just hazes it a little bit. I can turn it to a really blurry thing, which makes it just look some odd green color. And then I've got a whole bunch of different things I could put behind me. Because I have a green screen behind me, I can add in these features. Unless you have the green screen, you may not be able to do it. Probably won't be able to do it. So I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to make mine slightly blurry so you can see how to add that. And then we just click out and then that'll stay slightly blurry. I can also turn on captions here and I can record a meeting here. And also I can open up a Jamboard, which if you haven't used Jamboards yet, take a shot at it because those are awesome. I use them all the time and I'll do a video on that in the next couple of weeks on how to get that set up. So let me close this right now and I'm going to say, okay, I'm all done. So when we're all done, I make sure every student has left the class. I want to be the only one in the class at the end. And then I'm going to leave the call. And usually right after that, I close out the Meet and I make sure it's closed. And I come over here and just double check, okay, my next class is all set up. So there's one other thing that I want to talk to you about on how to avoid the problem with Meets. And we've noticed that a few times that we've seen the internet drop out. And if the internet drops out, then you may, especially if you're at the school, you may lose control of the class. So if that occurs, one of the best things that you can do is to have the Classroom app and the Calendar app on your cell phone. If you have them on your cell phone, you can go into your calendar, join the class through your calendar on your phone, and then you'll be right in the class and have control of it again. You can, at that point, if you're concerned about anything that's happening in the class or you don't have access to the information that you want, you can have the students exit at that point. You can take a screenshot with your phone, see who's still there, or see what problems are happening. You can look at the chat in that way too. And you can also have everyone exit and then you can close out the class using your phone. And that's kind of a safety device that we've decided is pretty important for you to do. So one of the things I'd suggest to help you ensure that you don't have any real problems with Google Meet is to set up those apps on your phone. Remember, that would be the Google Classroom app and the Google Calendar app. The reason we do that is because if the internet does go down at the school or at your house, if you're at home, it may not be down where your students are, and your students will still be active and live in the class. So it's best to have an alternate method of getting in to speak with them, to control what's happening. So hopefully I've taught you a little bit something tonight about how to use Google Calendar to set up your Google Meets, and I hope it's helpful for you. I think that in the future I'll do a couple of different videos for you, one on how to use Jamboard and the other one on how to set up rooms. So the rooms one will probably come next. So I hope everybody had a good night, and this is Dr. Mario saying I'll see you next time.